Batang Pagbati, this is Airah, RFSSLG President, and in this video, I will be showing you the step-by-step process upon registering your organization to YORP. By the way, YORP stands for Youth Organization Registration Program. It is run by the National Youth Commission. It gives official recognition to youth organizations and grants access to programs, fundings, and trainings. Okay, let's first start with compiling the requirements necessary for your application. Let's start with the registration form. So this is the youth organization registration form. We have a name of the organization. By the way, you may also register your organization which is outside of the community or your community organization. So it's not limited to just school organizations. It is to all youth organization. No? So let's just have this as an example. Our school organization, which is the SSLG of Barobo National High School. We have name of the organization, organization's address, we have the building number, street, municipality/city, and province. Tapos we have the classifications, whether it is a youth organization and a youth serving organization. So youth organization meaning all of the members in the organization are youth, and then youth serving organization refers to organizations that are not necessarily ran by just youth themselves but serves the youth. So as for the SSLG, we are all youth, so we have the youth registration, or we classify into the youth organization. Tapos we have sub-classification, it is school-based. And then advocacies, we advocate for education, environment, and governance, social inclusion, and equity. By the way, if you advocate for all, you may shade them also. Pwede na sila shadean if you advocate for all of them. We have separate organizations allotted for those other advocacies mong good, but it's not limited to just these. You may shade all if you advocate for all, once again. And then organizational level, whether it is a national, interregional, regional, provincial, and city or municipal organization. So we are just a school organization, therefore ang shaden is city/municipal organization. And then organizational contact number, we have telephone. You do not have a telephone number, therefore it is left as blank. And then cell phone number, this is the organization's contact number. And then official organizational address, Barobo NSSSLG Dalaab @gmail.com. So this is very necessary because we will be using this for the verification of your organization in the next step. So if your school organization, your SSLG still doesn't have an email address, I suggest you make one. And then current number of registered members, so how many members are there in your organization. And then date of establishment of organization, we have May 5, 2023. By the way, the date of establishment of organization is dated May 5, 2023. That is because although there has always been a student council in our school, the constitutions and bylaws was revised during May 5, 2023, ordering the SSG to be named as SSLG. Therefore, that was the date of the establishment of the SSLG because we no longer follow the constitution and bylaws of the SSG. So SSLG ang among follow maong naotro siya and na-establish siya on May 2023 after the constitutions and bylaws was revised. So, but depende na sa inyo ha if ever ganas agi register ang inyong, ganas agi establish ang inyong organization. These are just definitions guiding you for the terminologies above. So katong youth organization, what does that mean? So this is what it means. Youth serving organization, this is what it means. The organizational level 2, these are just definitions to serving as your guide. And then we have brief description and objective. So maximum of 300 words only. So we have the brief description of your organization and then the objectives. I believe that you can just copy paste the brief descriptions and objectives provided in your constitutions and bylaws. So you don't have to craft these if you have already crafted your constitutions and bylaws, by the way. And then leadership and membership information, head of the organization, the president, name of the advisor, and then contact number, and the email address. Next are the attachments and requirements. We have the following: directories of officers and advisors. We have that here in our next file, which we will run through after this. List of members in good standing. Here it is. We will also run that through. Copy of constitutions and bylaws, which we will also run through. And the endorsement and certifications from appropriate authority, which is what we have is the certificate. So for these will just be checklists that will serve as your guide if ever you have completed the other attachments necessary for your registration. We will run that through later. Okay, so we have the endorsement and certification from appropriate authority. So this will validate the existence of your organization. So if they know ba ang inyong organization and if nag-exist ba jud siya, you shall have one of the following. For community-based organization, if ever you will be registering an organization outside of your school, you shall have a physical copy or either of the three lang. Physical office certification of existence of the office. So this certifies the existence of if organization does not have a physical office, barangay certification of residence of the president, or a resolution of endorsement coming from Sangguniang Kabataan. So you may tap these organizations no and ask for their certification or endorsement. But if you're registering your SSLG, which is a school organization, you may have one of the following: certificate of registration or recognition from a competent school authority supervising students' affairs, which is mostly what is accessible to school-based organizations. So you may have your principal sign a recognition of the your organization. So this is to certify that the Supreme Secondary Learner Government of Barobo National High School is a duly recognized organization. The likes. Tapos for faith-based organization, certificate of registration or recognition of any head or pastor of the congregation or parish priest. For chapters of multi-level organizations, certificate of registrations or recognition from the president governing at the highest organizational level. For consortium, certification of members organization issued by the secretariat or board. For organizations registered in the local youth development officer, certificate of registration and verification. So you may have either of these. For once again, for ours, which is the school-based organization, it requires the certificate of registration or recognition, which is already here. So therefore, this will just be served as the attachments or requirements necessary, sort of like a checklist if you have the papers. Submission of requirements, so this is also provided. And then, how did you hear about YORP? So either you heard it from newspaper, radio, television, referred by NYC official personnel, so you may identify them, and others, please identify NYC website, NYC communication. Okay, so if you heard YORP through me, no, you may check this other, please identify, and then just add my name on it, Airah Jane C. Mascara, RFSSLG Caraga. And then undertaking, this is also provided, and then lastly, your printed name or the president's or head of the organization's printed name and signature, as well as the printed name and signature of the advisor. And then date of filing, November 1, 2024. So that is it for the registration form. Let's head on to the Directory of Officers and Advisors. These are the information needed. So position, name, first name, middle initial, and surname, age, sex, gender identity, address, personal email, and contact numbers. So you shall have all your officers fill them out. And then after that, you need an attached digital copy for the identification of card of the head of organization. So what I have here is the back-to-back copy of my school ID. You only need one. So it is recommended for the president or the head of the organization to provide theirs. And then list of members in good standing. This is similar to the directory of officers. So you may have the recurring information. You'll have the surname, first name, middle initial, age, date of birth, address, and contact number. So it is similar, but it shall be separated, no? Or in separate papers. Tapos, this was the certification, no? For validity that was also discussed in the registration form at the checklist. We have the certificate of recognition. This is to certify that the Supreme Secondary Learner Government of Barobo National High School, established in the year 2023, has been officially recognized by the undersigned as a legitimate student governing body of the school. So date and the likes. You may just use this format, by the way, and just change the name of the organization if ever it is a different organization, as well as the year and its residence and the date, of course. That was the school principal and her signature. So that's it. And then we have the constitutions and bylaws lastly. So you will just provide the constitutions and bylaws of your school organization that you will be registering. By the way, if you still don't have your constitutions and bylaws, or if you want to revise your constitutions and bylaws, we are very open for benchmarking. The Barobo National High School is welcoming anyone who may want to benchmark our constitutions and bylaw. You may message me, Airah Jane C. Mascara, on Facebook, and I will send you the benchmarking details. And that ends the requirements necessary. Once again, let's have a checklist. We need a registration form, directory of officers, advisors, certificate, list of members in good standing, and the SSLG constitutions and bylaws. Okay, at this point, let us now head on to the YORP registration portal. Just type in yorpnyc.org and you will be directed to this website, the YORP registration. Just type in your organization's email address. By the way, I will not be using our organization email address because it has already been used. And for the sake of this video, I will be using someone's email address so that I will still have the same results as the results that you will be having too, as you haven't registered, I assume. So that's it, clarisaporns99@gmail.com. But if you are registering your organization, please do use the organization email address that you have provided in your registration form for a smoother validation of this email. Once again, use your organization email address, not your personal email address, and then enter CAPTCHA for validity. Okay, we are verifying the email address. System notification, organization email address is verified. Please check your email address for further instructions. If you didn't receive an email, please check the correctness of your email address, clarisaporns99@gmail.com. So it may take a little time, maybe an hour or two, maybe days as well, if there are lots of registering organizations. So you will just wait for that. And then another link will be provided on that email, which you will click and then submit your papers to. So you will submit these papers on the link that will be sent by the email. Okay, the verification process may take hours and days, which you will just wait for the YORP to send you a link for the submission, which you will submit these documents to. Afterwards, you may check your inbox for email confirmation of submission. Otherwise, contact YORP Secretariat. Once the submission of your documents has been confirmed, you may wait for 15 to 10 working days for the approval of your registration. If there are any notices of disapproval due to discrepancy, just recheck your inputs base na alay kulang na information or attachments. If you received an email approval, on the other hand, then you will have a customized username and password for you to log into YORP. And then that's it. Congratulations on your approved application. That is where your YORP journey will begin, an avenue for support, connection, and networking. Once again, this is Airah. Lagit-lagi para sa bata, kababaihan, kabataan, para sa bayan. Thank you and mabuhay!